At the moment, you might be stuck with some service provider, maybe due to COVID-19, maybe due to that you've done something wrong, or maybe just due to this company delivering very bad customer experiences to you and very bad customer service as part of that in many cases. So how is it possible that so many companies still do it wrong in these days? And I have an expert today with me here. Very happy that she took the time. Hello and welcome, customer experience expert Nienke Bloem.
Thank you so much, Niels. So good to be here.
Thank you very much for taking the time. Greetings to the Netherlands. And we're getting straight into it. So many companies deliver bad customer experience. What is the reason why still many companies pay so little attention to such an important part of their business? What is your experience with that?
Well, I think there's several reasons, and I think I named the three most important ones. First of all, they often don't know. Mm-hmm. So from the inside out, the leaders often don't know that it's that bad because they think that do really well. So there's a really interesting research where they interviewed leaders within companies and they asked from Bain & Company's research, and they asked the leaders, how are you doing when it comes to customer experience? Well, and 80% were saying we're doing really, really well. And then they asked their customers, and then the customers of those companies, 8% were saying they were doing well. Wow. And that's where there's a big gap between an outside-in perspective from the customer and the inside-out perspective from the leader. So I think that is one. The second one is I think they get away with it. Customers are not churning, going away enough to really make it feel. So the sense of urgency is not well. And the third reason, I think a lot of leaders don't care. And that's not good, but I think it's, but as soon as their friends use the service and think it's bad, when it gets into their hearts, things change. But I think those three are the most important reason why organizations are there where they are.
So when we talk about these blind spots, people think they do really well, but they obviously do not. Of course, the most challenging part of a business is to see when you're sitting you're watching from the inside to the outside. You are a leader in an organization. How do you find these blind spots before it's too late?
Well, I think first of all, it's very, there just happened to be an awful situation in the Netherlands where a lot of people that got extra money from the government for their childcare, and they were supposed to get that money, and then from the government, from the taxes, they had a different system where they did not see that the whole system was actually not fair. So they charged that all the people had to pay their money back, and people got really in debt, lost their jobs, got a horrible situation. And the thing is, there was just an internal investigation from the government to this whole situation at the taxes. And they said, we did not know it was that bad. So what happened is that the leaders of this organization and leaders of companies, they need to really get the voice of the customer in, and not a filtered one, because also within companies, sometimes a filter comes up where they only hear the good verbatim. They only hear the good stories. But there needs to be a transparent, non-filtered voice of the customer, including facts and figures, so including KPIs, but also qualitative verbatims of customers, so people really know. And it's also the job of the leaders to get it. So if you don't get it as a leader, make sure you go outside and get it.
So now you said some leaders just don't care. So let's face one situation which might be, and most likely is very common in senior leadership. So you may get a report on a, let's say, operational level that customer service isn't great. Then maybe the service experience senior manager filters out, as you said, the really bad ones because they think that their position might be in danger when the really board level people find out how bad it really is. And then you hand it to the board and they say, well, it is sort of okay. So how can you make people drop these filters? Because, of course, no one likes to report, look, we're dealing with this and it's really bad. No one likes to report that to a higher hierarchical level. How can you make people drop these filters?
I think there's two ways. First of all, your metric system needs to be representing the truth, the outside truth. So, and often the accountability for this and more like an audit kind of service lies outside the silos. So not the customer service manager or the retail shop manager or are responsible for the reporting, but it's somewhere else, often in a BI department that really collects all the data and makes it transparent. I think that is really a good solution. But also what we often see, and then customer experience management as a profession comes in, is that customer experience management professionals that look over the whole customer journey across all channels, and they get the position within the board to, like, once a month or once every quarter, report what's really going on. And so that in that way, you have somebody who is responsible for the customer. So this is also about organizational alignment and governance, who is responsible for the whole customer experience and make sure that the right way that customers are treated is represented into the board.
Excellent. So, and now, of course, we come to the worst part, which means, let's say you have all these filters dropped, all the reports are in place, but you have senior managers, maybe even on board level, who simply do not care because they say, well, we see it's not great, but customers still stay. Our profit is still going up. Revenue's going up, profits going up. We just deal with it like we did before, and we just ignore it because it obviously is working. How do you deal with that? Because that obviously is not a sustainable way how to lead and run an organization.
Well, I think if you're a customer experience professional and you're in this situation, and I'm going to be honest, this happens a lot because there's short-term focus and more only a shareholder
bonus
focus.
Especially. Yeah. Bonus focus.
Yeah. And I think there's several options. I think the first option is make clear through ROI and business cases and good KPIs what could be earned more if you do it a good way. So I think make sure that you show that it can be done better. Then the second one, I think, is make sure that you show that it has impact on the long term. So if you see that it's just a short-term focus where in the long term customers will turn away, but you need proof for that, and that's often really difficult. And the third option, I'm going to be real honest, for some of the customer experience professionals, say get a new job, because this is not a place where you can succeed. Customer experience management is not part of the priorities. It's just a waste of your energy. Go do your profession somewhere else.
Yeah, excellent. I like the Dutch very straightforward approach to that. nearly like a Northern German, as I would say, get another job. Some people just have to do something else. Yeah. One word which I now saw very frequently, I don't know if it's just a hip and trendy term, but I often read about the customer journey. You're an expert in the field. Could you tell us something? What is a customer journey? Is it something that you need to take care about? Is it just a trend which will disappear in a couple of months or years? What is your opinion on the customer journey?
When I started in customer experience management, being responsible for CX in KPN, the Dutch incumbent telco, it was 2012. Yeah. That was the first time I heard about the customer journey. So that is when it was introduced into my life. And I think it's an interesting perspective. Actually, you do a lot of people work with a business process redesign. Actually, what from a customer experience profession we add is looking at it from a customer perspective. So you look at the processes, but from a customer perspective. That means you take a broader view. Is it hip and trending? I think the way that people do sessions and put service design sessions, I think it's all great because it's really important to make sure that you know what the customer journey is like. But that's only visualizing and putting the as-is in place. And of course, it's good to know the as-is. This is how we're doing. And a customer journey is actually, when you look at, for example, you're going to rent a car, then it's the orientation phase, then you come and you book a car, then you get the car and you rent it, then you return it, and then you get an invoice and maybe you get they ask you for a review, I don't know, and that's it. So all these, and that's actually within every company, you have customer journeys. And I think it's important on a meta level that you know these episodes. So these parts like hire a car, return and all, and that you decide. And I think that should be the next level. What do we want our customer journeys to be? And a lot of companies struggle with that. They have not thought of when is it a good customer journey? When is it a branded customer journey that we like? And that, I think then you raise the bar and you're going to do to-be journeys, and you're gonna create the future. And I think that I hope it's not a hip and happening term. It's something you should work with. I think it should be a verb. And it's important, and also for me as an education business, we have our customer journey in place. We know what we send when. We also know we have our sunny days. This is when everything goes well. But there's also rainy days when people don't get like an email, or they don't get their like now with the post. One of my students didn't get their reader for my masterclass. Well, that is a rainy day, and then we need to have something in place to make sure we fix it. And that is the only way, because I want to take charge of my customer journey, of my customer's journey.
Excellent. To round this whole interview up, some people might now sit there and think, I think it is time for us to really ramp up our game, to really become better when it comes to the whole customer experience. And then the question is where to start. So to round this whole interview up, what are Nienke Bloem's top 3 tips? Where should people get to start when it comes to customer experience when they haven't done anything about that so far? Top 3 tips from you.
Top 3 tips. First of all, make sure that you know when a customer experience is a good one within your company. So I think it is important to know if are you Ryanair, or are you KLM, or are you Emirates? What is your brand? And
or maybe Lufthansa, just
or
to mention.
Lufthansa, or I don't know, or Malaysia Airlines, or Qantas, or I don't know. But define who you want to be, and make sure that everybody in your company knows what that is. And we often in customer experience management give like customer promises. And if you want to have an example, people can look on my website, because I've defined my customer promises in my customer manifesto. So then customers know what you want. So I think first of all, it's the missing link within many companies. What do we want to promise our customers? So put that into writing and make sure that everybody in the company knows it. So it's easy in words. It's much more difficult to have it. But once you have it, it is the fundament for everything. So I think that is 1. 2, make sure you have this architecture of listening for your voice of the customer. So you don't get these issues that we just talked about, that the leaders don't know what's happening on the outside in, when you've got this 88 rule where 80% of the leaders think it's going really well. Make sure that people within the company get a transparent voice of the customer. So you either do that with surveys or do it with reviews, but you don't have to do something. Often reviews are there. Just Google for your company. Make sure, look at the Google reviews, Facebook reviews, or, well, there's all kinds of review sites. And make sure, and then the third one, I think that is a logical next step, act on that feedback. I don't know with you. Do you fill out surveys, Niels?
I do, but I just give you one example. I'm with a couple of different banks, and I had my experiences. Some banks I fill out surveys because I know the year after something will change. Some banks I honestly just gave up, and these are also the banks I'm not a customer anymore, because I filled out surveys, and they promised me to be better, but nothing changed in the year after.
No.
So no. I fill out surveys when I think that it makes sense, and also when they're not 30 minutes long.
No, I think make short surveys. But the thing is, I fill out all surveys I get, because I'm kind of like a customer experience crazy woman, because I'm also curious, how do their surveys look like? And especially, what do they do with it? So I think the last 5 years, I fill out like 2 a week, let's say 50 weeks. So that is 500 surveys filled in. How many, and I fill them in honest. So sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. How many companies do you think they took the action to be in contact with me?
Maybe 50, so 10%.
5. So 1% of the companies. So everybody's like sending surveys, but they're not taking any action. And I think this is my third tip. If you ask for feedback, act on it. And it could be just reaching out to the customers that are not happy, or that are happy, thank them for their feedback. But also on a meta level, like once or twice a year, send everybody that filled out a survey, this is what we did with it. This is our improvements that we did. This is the incremental improvement. These are the big innovations we're taking upon this feedback. So people will keep sharing the feedback and feel connected with you as an organization. So I think that's the third. That is... So 1, make sure that you know what to promise, customer promises. The second one, make sure that you listen, organizational listening. And then the third one, act on feedback. I think that make it really 3.
Yeah. Excellent. This is excellent advice. Of course, I'm going to put your contact data in the show notes of this podcast so people can contact you if they have any additional aspects they like to talk to you about, or when they want to book you for your masterclass, your training, or your speaking. I remember that I saw you speaking, I think, 6-7 years ago in Rotterdam, and I still remember parts of your speech. We talked about that before the interview. So you have done very well, very well. So
thank you, Niels.
Yeah. You're welcome. And at the end of this interview, there's only one thing for me left to say. Nienke, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, you're very welcome. Bye-bye.